this way? Or is it okay being over here?
You're all right.
Actually, over here would be okay because of the pictures, I guess. So
You're live, so it's all good.
Oh. We're on now?
Yes, welcome to the after.
Well, I'm just looking at the one on the left there.
That's on air. That's on deck.
Well, that's why I was talking. I didn't know we were live. Here, let me just fix all this stuff over here while we're still live. Yeah, so sorry about no AfterBuzz last week. We ran into some technical difficulties. Scott couldn't log in. It was a whole shit show is what happened.
Computer had a total grand mal meltdown.
Let's catch up on some of the chat here a little bit. Is there anything interesting other than you guys talking about Taint and Gooch earlier?
Nice.
Like, fucking fantastic. That was about a good half hour of the chat today.
Das Gooch.
Eli says after Buzz, Brand will talk about his weed adventures. That is one of the stories I have for you guys. Actually, I think a couple. So anyway, yeah, I'll start off by just kind of talking about like my trip and everything. So I went back to Oregon. I flew into Portland on Thursday. Stayed the night in Portland on Thursday. Drove to Bend the next day, which is about 2.5, 3 hour drive. It's right in like Central Oregon for a wedding on Saturday. Drove back to Portland on Sunday, and then caught a plane flight on Monday. So it was really, it seemed like really go, 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 but maybe it was the weed. I didn't seem too stressed out throughout the whole thing. But, so yeah, so I got into town. I got to stay with my dad. I got to stay at his new place. He bought this fucking house that's like up on this hill in Portland. Oh shit, I should have you look that picture up if you go to my Facebook page.
Okay.
And one of the pictures I took of Mount Hood. So basically the way Portland's set up, to kind of give you guys a rundown here, is you have the Willamette River, which runs north-south, and that splits the city between the east and the west. And so he bought this house that's right on the west side, that's up on the hills. It's actually one of those houses that has fucking stilts on it because it's like on that steep of a hill.
Christ.
And then if you go to, I think, my Instagram photos for albums. Let me see here. Nope, not that one. Although you could save that one too, because that was actually of the wedding. So it looks directly east, which is where Mount Hood is at. But the way that it's set up, you can see all the way downtown, which is to your left, and then just this big panoramic view. See, that's what it looked like foggy the previous day. That's the full blown shot. There you go, use that one.
Okay.
No, I sound a little bit different. My throat's all fucked up. An embarrassing fart story I have. I don't think I have any. But there's a lot of times, like if you're out on a date or something and you got to hold it in, like, that sucks.
Sometimes people's questions say much more about them than they do about you.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Snake. My throat's been all messed up. I think it's mostly because of the campfire over the weekend. So anyway, yeah, here you go. This was the view from my dad's house. And that, right there, that's Mount Hood. And so you basically go up and over Mount Hood as you're getting out to Bend.
Beautiful.
It's pretty goddamn nice out there, I'm not going to lie. So then that river that you see in the middle of it, that is the Willamette River, which splits the city between east and west. So I got to stay one night with my dad, got to hang out on Thursday. Friday, drove up with my buddy's parents, actually the groom of the wedding. I drove out with his parents, which is kind of funny because this group of friends, they've all known each other for a very long time. Some of them have known each other since they were like 5, 6 years old. I didn't meet any of them until probably 1999, so I was 19 years old. And his parents had no clue how I knew these guys. Like, they always knew I was part of the group and I'd always been around, but they never knew how I met everybody, and actually met these guys from when I worked in lumber. And then as you can see here, this was what the wedding looked like. That was the day up. It was fucking beautiful out. And so it was in Bend. As you know, marijuana legal in Oregon now. Yay. And so we went to, it was me and this guy Marcus. Marcus was actually the guy who officiated the wedding. It was one of the funniest, quickest weddings I've ever been to. And he ended up, let me think. He stayed, like, we shared a hotel room together. So we showed up, we went to a bar, and as we're at the bar, he's trying to find a rec shop in Bend. And as he's flipping through, all of a sudden, our waiter walks by, and he sees he hears what we're talking about, and he sees it on his phone, he's like, and he just leans in and he goes, Tokyo Starship. And he walks away. And we were like, what? So then Marcus starts looking up Tokyo Starship, and it's this rec spot that's right down the street. So we went down there, bought a bunch of stuff. If you have me on Snapchat, you would have seen the picture that I took of the bag with the little star on it. That was the Tokyo Starship bag. And so that night, as we were hanging out downtown, we're walking to Red Robin because Marcus is a vet, and he was going to go get his free meal. This chick, swear to God, full-on fucking stops in the middle of the road to look at his beard and to ask if it's real. You got that one ready?
Yeah. He's got it.
Literally, that guy right there. So this is no shit. The beard's real. And so a woman actually stopped in the middle of the road to ask if his beard was in fact real. Which it is. I can vouch for it. So
It's kind of terrifying.
it's and that's kind of what he looked like when he was officiating the wedding, minus the penguin costume. But then let me think. So then on Saturday we had the wedding. Wedding was great. It was super short. They were very low key about this. But the couple was very they've both been married before. This is their second wedding. They didn't want it to be a big deal. And even my buddy's parents said on the way out there, he was like, "This really just kind of feels like they're throwing a party, and they just happen to be getting married at this party," which was totally cool. So there wasn't, people were asking about like shenanigan stories at the wedding. Not at the actual wedding, not that I can think of. So afterwards, this was the story that I told Buzz in the hallway that I couldn't say on the air. I preferred not to say on the air. So we're all hanging out by the campfire after the fact because they got married where there's this lake at. I'll have to find some pictures and post some pictures of what this lake looked like. It was fucking beautiful. But there was like 3 cabins around this lake, and that's where a bunch of our friends stayed. And then kind of in the middle of them, there was one big fire pit. So we're hanging out by the fire pit, and one of our friends shows up, and he's got a vaporizer. And he warned me. He's like, dude, if you want to hit this thing, he's like, it's like 90% or something like that. It's just fucking insane. I hit it once, just once. And I didn't think it was that big a hit. It literally felt like gravity just got so fucking heavy, I physically could not stay up. And so I'm sitting on the picnic bench, and I noticed I kept like kind of doing this thing until I'm eventually, I was completely laid down. And so I was laying like this, and I think I apparently was really quiet for like 15 or 20 minutes because I was just staying there. And the whole time I'm like, I'm so fucked, I'm paralyzed, like I can't move. Like this thing broke me. And so I'm sitting there, and then my buddy comes over, and he's like, dude, are you okay? So then they physically had to pick me up because this thing, just my body stopped functioning whatsoever. Except it got to the point where I was like, dude, I got to take a dump. Like, I got to go to the bathroom. And I was like, I need to make it to one of the cabins, but I can't walk there. Like, my legs don't function. So I have one of my friends just, like, dragging me as I try to stumble my way up to one of the cabins so I can use the restroom because that shit fucking floored me. So just be forewarned. When this stuff gets legal everywhere, then if you're not used to it or if you don't do it on a regular basis and they're like, hey, this is like 90%, don't do it. Just ease your way into that shit. I mean, it'll fucking kill you.
I just imagine that guy carrying you to the bathroom.
Oh no, it wasn't Marcus. No, it wasn't Beard Man.
Well, don't ruin it for me because that's funny.
Okay, it was Marcus. And so then we came back on Sunday, got to hang out with some friends. Unfortunately, had the Patriots lose to the Seahawks, but I got to see the Twins. Which, the Twins are the shit. If you guys don't know, when I was living in Portland, look at them. Look how dope they are. Look at those. They're the shit. The Twins here, that's Connor, and that's Emery. And when I was in Portland, right before I moved here, I was only working part-time. I was trying to fill hours, and their parents, we needed a babysitter during the day. Like, it used to be My mom would sit them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Mondays opened up because their aunt, who would watch them on Mondays, worked for the school district. So when school started, she wasn't available anymore. So I was like, I'll do it. So then, I got paid to babysit these kids. I was around them anyway because I was around frequently during the week because I worked weekends. So I, got to hang out. I FaceTime with them frequently now. And it was great to see them. There's videos of me if you're on like Instagram or Twitter. I posted some videos and some pictures of us playing around and goofing around the kitchen. Which, by the way, my mom, it seems like every time I go back to Portland, something in the house completely fucking changes. They're eating banana chips, actually, Daniels. That's what they're eating in that picture.
It's healthy.
So if you see in any of the videos, if you noticed on Instagram or anything like that, I'm like running around a kitchen island. That kitchen island didn't exist until like 2 months ago. This is the house I grew up in. And so originally where that island was, there was a wall, and it actually separated the kitchen from the living room. But since then, my mom has completely fucking redone it. There's wood floors. There's an island. She got all new appliances and stuff, and it looks awesome. Yeah, dude, Daniel, let's fucking pump those brakes, buddy. Yeah, so if you want, you can go check out the Instagram video of the twins because they're the shit. I was teaching them how to do high knees because all they wanted to do was run. My mom was pretty happy because she hadn't swept underneath the dining room table in a while. Like, she sweeps, but she never really, you really got to work in underneath there. She was perfectly fine because they were crawling around in there, just goofing around and basically doing the dusting job for her with their clothes. Other than that, I can't really think of any other major stories that happened over the weekend on the trip. I did get stuck at Phoenix for a little bit, so I didn't get into town on Monday until it was after 10, wasn't it, Scott?
Yeah.
The arrival time was supposed to be like 9 o'clock ish, a little bit before, like 8:57 was going to be the arrival time. Hold on, Eli. Let me make a note of this question here. Can you remember that one, Scott? Kind of the one that Eli just asked about moving to Oregon. So we're all standing around the gate, going from Phoenix to El Paso, and it just seems to be taking forever. And the sign says everything's on time, and then it switches, and it says it's going to be running about a half hour late. Scott was going to pick me up at the airport, so I'm texting him to be like, it's delayed, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, it goes back to the original time. So I'm like, well, fuck, they changed it back. And I was like, Scott, here's the fucking flight number. You know what? I'll probably just text you when I land. Basically, what ultimately happened was the plane was there, but the crew wasn't. So 30 minutes after we're supposed to take off, all of a sudden you see 2 flight attendants go and they get on the plane. And then like 15 minutes later, you finally see the 2 pilots get on the goddamn plane. It's like, dude, what the fuck? And then we end up and we get seated, and they're like, okay, we're going to be off in 5 minutes. Bullshit. Like, we sit there for like 20 more minutes and like, oh, sorry, we had a piece of maintenance that needed to be done and paperwork needed to be signed off on. And it's like, you couldn't have taken care of any of this shit? Like what the fuck? So anyway, so it was kind of a pain in the ass. Although I made it through to yesterday's show, okay. But I took the hell out of a nap, I'll tell you that, when I got home. Radio is lame. Then why do you fucking listen to the radio, Snake? Jesus Christ. Or did you show up just a bitch? Good Lord. Eli. So Eli asks, I'm looking to make a move, and Oregon was on the list of potential places. Do you recommend it? I do recommend Oregon. You just there's certain things that you have to be. Oh, see, Scott just showed the picture. That's exactly why we need to sign off on that paperwork, apparently, because of all that shit. I need to know a little bit more, Eli. Like, would you move to Portland? Would you move to Bend? Would you move to... Because the thing that a lot of people don't realize with Oregon is that they think the whole state's like green. They think the whole state is trees and mountains, and that's it. Like, 2/3 of the state is desert.
No shit.
Yeah, like the west part of the state, which is where Portland is at, and then you stretch a little bit over into Bend, there's trees and mountains there. But a big chunk of it, like when you're going towards Idaho and stuff, that's desert. So if you want, and it just kind of depends on what you, just kind of depends on what you're looking for when it comes to where you want to move to. If you want legal pot, move to Oregon. You can also move to Colorado or Washington or Massachusetts or apparently Maine, I think, also passed it as well. The quirky thing with Oregon is you definitely have to be okay with diehard liberals. They can be a pain in the fucking ass, especially those dickbags that like stand by the recycle bin, and if you don't recycle the thing properly, they're gonna fucking yell at you. And chances are the breath's gonna stink because they don't use real toothpaste; they use all natural toothpaste, which is basically fucking tree pitch. That's all that shit is. It's not doing anything except making your breath stink, dude. But no, it's a great place to live.
You didn't work for the tourism.
Yeah, right. Like just this shitty 45 seconds of commercial, but it's like, hey, move here. Here's the thing. They used to run ads in Portland. Henry Weinhard's was a Portland-based beer, which I think they sold and they're not there anymore. But they used to run specific ads about like that are anti-California, and they were like all about California, like making sure Californians did not move to Oregon. I remember there was one billboard as you're driving down this one freeway. It showed like a map of the western part of the United States, and California was missing. And all the billboard said was wishful thinking. No shit. Like these were actual advertisements that they had in the city of Portland.
That's fucking funny.
And then there's another one. And there was a whole series of these ones they did, but this is the only one that's coming to mind. It's a group of guys. They're enjoying Henry Weinhard's, and there's three of them. They're sitting outside, and it's just pissing rain. There's no umbrellas. It's just dumping on them, and they're sitting there enjoying beers. And the one guy goes, "Hey, to all you Californians who are looking to move to Oregon, this is a nice day." So I mean, it was very anti. Californians moving to Oregon, but I would recommend it. It's kind of it's nice and laid back. There's a lot of cool shit to do there, especially if you like outdoor activities.
This is the rest of Oregon.
Yeah, it looks like Tatooine. It's basically. I'm pretty sure they filmed Mos Eisley out in the deserts of Oregon. Do we still have company Christmas parties? I've only been here 1 year, but we did last year. But it was during the week. And Brad, our boss, specifically scheduled the Christmas party for early on so that the morning show people could show up. I was the only morning person there. Nobody else showed up. Although, what was funny was I had gone to Buzz's place before I went. I dropped off a load of laundry, and I left. And I told him before, like, this is almost leading back to that story about how he didn't know I picked up my dog last night. So I ended up dropping off the load of laundry, told him I was coming back when the party was over, and I did. And when I walked into his house, I scared the shit out of him. Like, he had completely forgot that I told him I was coming over. So he hears the door open, and he jumps up out of his chair and, like, spins to the door that I came in at, like he was fucking ready to go. He's wearing nothing but underwear.
Oh.
And they weren't even, like, and they were, like, you could tell they'd been washed a few too many times, and, like, the seam, and it's like, oh, my God, dude. And, like, you forgot, didn't you? Hence, like, last night when I went over to his place, and he completely forgot that I had showed up to pick up my dog. Because he apparently doesn't remember watching Son of Zorn. That's what was on when I showed up. I haven't been to Ruidoso, so I can't make any comparisons between Ruidoso and Portland. I do need to take a trip to Ruidoso, though. I think it'd be great.
You gonna fly this airline?
No, God, no. Good Lord. Jesus, look at that thing here. Well, actually, if I sit right, it makes it look like the plane's okay. Like if I'm like this, and then it's like, oh no! Be grateful for the underwear. Yes, Erica, that is one fortunate thing, is I've never had to see Buzz fully nude. I did hear about the time, though. I think they were driving to Austin, and they were all in like an RV, and Buzz thought it would be funny to just kind of walk to the front of the RV, butt-ass naked.
Nice.
Which he did. Which, it's... God, I couldn't, like, the underwear is bad enough. I don't need to see the whole thing.
Lisa saw his dick not too long ago. He was changing in the studio, and she was in your studio.
Yeah.
And he was just bending over while he was changing, and the hole in his boxers opened up just enough to see a little passenger.
Is that the real Lil Buzz? It's
The
not
real
you?
Little Buzz.
Yeah,
Yes,
the real Lil Buzz, Buzz Jr.
All I can do is just be a pale comparison to it.
Does anybody have any other questions? That's real. I mean, it really wasn't a super exciting trip as far as stories go. While I was gone, but let me see here. No, I did not get laid by any of the bridesmaids because there were no bridesmaids. There were no best men. There were groomsmen. That's how laid back this wedding was. I think that he had a best man, and I think that she may have had a maid of honor. But other than that, there was no wedding party.
I don't know why. When you said he had a best man, then I thought you were going to say she had a best man.
And it just became one big orgy, and there was dicks everywhere. No. No, like that's truly how low key this was. And I think the ceremony took maybe all of 2 minutes. I think. Who the fuck is calling me during the afterbuzz? Hold on. I don't know who that is. I don't know anybody in Birmingham, Alabama.
Answer it. Put it next to the mic. Let's see what happens.
Ow.
Do you owe somebody money? Maybe it's a mobster.
Not as far as Birmingham, Alabama. I didn't know the mob was stationed there.
Well, it's been tough for the mob the past few years.
They've had to downsize.
They've had to downsize a bit.
Cole, when I get married, you'll be my best man. Well, no, because who knows if I'm ever going to be fucking married. Although that was kind of the joke, because this was like, in the group of friends, there's me, my buddy that got married, he's already been married before, so you kind of take him out of the equation. And then there's me and another guy who have never been married, have no kids, but he's actually engaged now. So it's like me. And the joke that I had was, it's a good thing my friends don't wife swap, otherwise I'd probably end up having to give somebody a handy. So that's where we're at there. Looking for a Fernie replacement. We're actively looking for replacements. We don't know. Why did ESPN Radio get rid of Mondo? I've told you guys this before. They just eliminated the position.
He just happened to be standing in it when they eliminated him.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's what happens in this business. That's what happened to me in Florida. It wasn't that I did shitty work. It wasn't that people didn't like me. It was just the sheer fact they eliminated that position. They didn't want to pay for it. That's why.
To be fair, you can never replace Fernie. You can only just move on.
How many kids am I planning on having? I already have enough adopted kids, like the twins that I babysat. For now, I'm good with that. But I always find this interesting. I've gotten into this conversation before with people, especially since I have friends that got married when they were 22, 23, and then progressively they keep, gotten married, or other people have gotten married through the years, and I have not. And people always ask me, do you want to get married? I'm like, well, I don't know. I can't answer that. And the reason you can't answer those questions is because you don't know who's going to come across your life. Like, if you're like, yes, I definitely want to be married, chances are you're going to end up in a shitty relationship and you're going to try to force something that's not there. And you don't want to do that. You really don't want to have fucking kids. You know how many people I know that have kids that have ended up just fucking miserable because they just shat out a kid for reasons other than, I feel like I need to have a kid? No, you should think long and fucking hard before you have a child, people.
Please.
So no, I just go with the flow. Like, if I meet somebody that I like and we end up getting married, yeah, that's perfectly fine. If we want to have kids, yeah. But at this point in my life, right now, sitting here, there's zero way you can answer that question. If you legitimately think that you can, you're a fool.
You got to answer Daniel's question now.
Why would your gay brother-in-law want to take the kids? I've never used the kids to hit on chicks. I know. Apparently my uncle used to do that. Like when my sister was 2, 3, 4 years old, he would be like, "Yeah, I'll babysit her. I'll take her to the park," and it was like, it's a total fucking, it's an immediate icebreaker.
That's funny.
But I've never personally done that with any of the kids. I've never tried to take them to the park or whatever to be like the icebreaker for the hot single mom or something like that.
So Daniel, your gay brother-in-law, does he just like going to kids' movies, or is it for that reason?
Yeah, what the fuck? I'll go see a Disney Pixar flick by myself. I don't give a shit. Not doing anything weird. Apparently Sonia wants to get rid of her kids for a little bit. Sonia, need a break? Need a little 2-3 hour break there? All right, does anybody have anything else? Scott, you got anything this week?
No, it's been a quiet week. We got everything else out last week in Live with Lisa and Patty. I don't know if anybody's told you the coffee story yet. But
I saw this email,
yeah,
actually. And it was right here, and you can still see it stained.
Yeah.
On the wall.
You go to the KLEQ channel and hear the entire coffee story with Live with Lisa and Patty. It was Lisa's fault. So it was.
Well, explain it here. I don't want to have to go back and click our videos. Just fucking tell me.
Hey, we worked hard on that video. We pressed a button and then it just kept rolling.
I don't give a fuck. Just tell me what happened.
So
because I heard it was just like our boss Kevin sent out this email of this just gigantic fucking mess over here where the garbage is at, and there's just this huge fucking coffee stain covering the wall.
So I'm walking down the hall. I come into this room to get some video equipment, and I see coffee just splattered all over that back wall there. I mean, it's like 5-6 feet high. I mean, not just like, oh, somebody just missed. I mean, it's splattered, right? I'm already having a shitty day, and I'm just like pissed. Like, what kind of fucking animal just sprays like coffee diarrhea all over the fucking wall, right? So I'm walking down the hall, and I'm sending an email to Kevin and Brad, like, what the fuck is going on here? And Lisa's walking in the hall, and I say, come take a look at this. Come look at this shit. And I show it off to her, and I was like, what is this bullshit? And she's like, well, maybe it was an accident. I mean, I'll help you clean it up.
Wait, who said this?
Lisa. And so I haven't put two and two together yet. I'm like, well, why would you clean it up? Like, that's not your fault. I'll clean it up. It's my room. So I'm scrubbing on the walls and cursing the whole time. And then Lisa comes in and she's like, she was going to help, but then she sees that I'm busy and I'm pissed off and she walks away. So like, that was probably about like 10 o'clock. Like 4 hours later, I get a phone call from Lisa, who was working on the morning. She's gone home and she's just crying. And she said, it was me. Like, I spilled the coffee. It's like,
Was this post Kevin's email?
Yes.
About somebody.
Right after Kevin's email came out.
Kevin sent an email, and it said in the email, I would appreciate somebody acting like a grown-up and fessing up to this.
So, yeah, so what happened was she was running down the hall to get back on air on the morning show, and this door happened to be left open, and she had a half cup of coffee. She didn't realize it was still that full, and just tossed it in the trash can as she ran. It hits the bottom of the trash can that was empty and splatters up all over the place. And she said she heard the thunk, but she was like, oh, well, whatever. Worst case scenario, trash can full of coffee. No, but instead it splattered.
It was all the way up the fucking wall.
Everywhere. So she's calling, she's half laughing, half crying because she knew I was having a shitty day and like she made it worse. And that's why she didn't say anything at the time, because she was like, you were so mad and I was going to wait for you to calm down. But she bought me a cake and some cupcakes that said sorry on them. So honestly, there
you go.
She can do that shit once a week.
Come spill some coffee, buy a cake.
Just spray it all over the place.
Cole, did we cover the dick bumps by the Cubs? I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Last week, the Cleveland... Fuck, see, the problem is, Chi, with the being around a campfire and stuff, my throat's been all fucked up for a few days now. I don't think I can do the Cleveland voice today. Let me see if I can get to it. See, I don't think I can.
Just do it. Just go for it.
Oh, hey, y'all. How you doing? Oh, no.
All right. And that's with a hurt throat, so there you go. Walking Dead talk. I liked this last episode. I thought there were a lot of people who were pissing and moaning about it. I thought it was great. Of course, I was watching it Monday when I was completely relaxed, just hanging out at my mom's place, watching it on demand. When they were doing their thrusting, and we haven't covered that. Don't really care. But no, so we talked about it a little bit today, and I think Dead was the one that mentioned it in a chat yesterday about the Morse code in The Walking Dead. And see, this is why shows like this intrigue the shit out of me. It's when you have all of these little like nuances and how they tie things in. Like when they showed, like in the first episode of this season, after they've killed Glenn and Abraham, spoiler alert, There's a guy that walks up and he takes a picture, but you don't notice it. It's in the background, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, like." They honestly thought that was like a cast member or somebody on the set who fucked up and they were walking in the background. No, they tied it into the Daryl episode because the picture that they handed Daryl is the photo of basically Glenn's body with the smashed head. And the Morse code thing, so you had the whole Morse code in the background in one of the scenes, and then you had Daryl doing this thing where he's blinking. And then what they said, what it was translated to is I East. So he's basically saying that Negan's sanctuary where he's at is east of Alexandria, where they all are. But little things like that, like if anybody's ever watched Community. Did you ever watch Community, Scott?
I love Community.
Okay, so in Community, there's a lot of stuff like this. Like have you ever heard of the Beetlejuice scenes? Throughout the show, in different episodes, someone mentions Beetlejuice, and then on the third time during the series, when somebody says Beetlejuice, a guy in a Beetlejuice costume walks behind
Was
him.
it like one of the Halloween episodes?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go check that out now.
Yeah. If you just go to YouTube and you check out Community Beetlejuice, I think somebody's already pieced all that stuff together. There's another episode where, yes, I did notice the peace sign that Abe was giving when he was sitting up and he was doing this thing, which is pretty cool. But a Community one is they focus on Abed one episode, and then in the next episode, somebody makes a comment, and Abed basically says, I'll stay in the background for this one. And so he is. There's all these storylines going behind them. I think it's the episode where Jeff and Britta get into it with like the high school kids. And their response is, duh, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So Abed's in the background, and what you don't see in the background all these times, Abed's helping this chick give birth. Seriously, like, and I think the video should still be up on YouTube. Is if you were to have, I think just typing like Community Abed birth or something like that, and somebody's pieced it all together and shown you like. It's this sequence, and at the very end of that episode, they were like, Abed, you've been really quiet today. What have you been up to? And he's like, oh, nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then fast forward to, I think it was the very next season, when Shirley's giving birth in the anthropology classroom, and Abed's going through all of the stuff to do, and they're like, Abed, how do you know this? And he was like, oh, I helped a lady give birth last year. You guys don't remember that? So it's all this little stuff that I fucking love. It's brilliant.
It's a great fucking show.
Speaking of which, have you heard of Harmon Quest?
I've been seeing ads for it, but I don't know what this whole CISO thing is.
So CISO, I refuse to pay for it. I think it's like $4.99 a month.
Fuck that shit.
But the first episode of Harmon Quest is available for free on YouTube. There's actually the whole season's available, but they couldn't just post the video. Somebody had to like pitch down the voices so that it gets past YouTube's filters,
right.
Or they pitched up the voices, and it just sounds creepy to me, and I can't watch it. But so basically, the premise of the show is you have Dan Harmon, you have the people who are from his podcast, including Spencer being the dungeon master.
Right.
Because if you ever listen to Harmontown, they play Dungeons and Dragons during the podcast. So what they've done is it's Spencer. It's Dan Harmon's ex, I believe. She's a consistent character. It's Dan Harmon.
Are they not together anymore? Him and the redhead?
I don't think so. It's last year I think they split, but she's on the show with him.
She's hot.
And then they have a guest, and the first guest was P.F. Tompkins.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I always forget it, but it's the other guy that's on the podcast with Dan Harmon. He's the extra character, and so they all end up doing this whole. They basically play Dungeons and Dragons, but they intertwine it with cartoons showing what they're doing. And it's fucking hilarious. I absolutely loved it, and I wish they would provide it on a different forum. Like, I already have Hulu. I already have fucking Amazon Prime. I already have Netflix. Like, I don't need another one of those. Like, just fucking put it there. Put it somewhere where it's more readily available for me. Pain in the ass. But if you get CISO, Harmon Quest, it's the way to go. Because as far as I know, that's the only show they have on it right now. But it's fucking awesome. Other than that, I think we're ready to wrap up this episode of the AfterBuzz. I wish I had comics that would like intertwine with the stories that I tell, but I think we're not nowhere near that because I don't think you can do that live. We can't do that live, right, Scott?
Probably not.
Okay.
I don't know.
But other than that, I'll give you guys like another 60 seconds or so. If you have any questions, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, go ahead and put it into the old chat right there. I did pick up my dog yesterday at Buzz's house. He was doing great. Apparently my dog eats like a fucking pig, which I already knew, which is why I limit how much I feed him. But when I take him to Buzz's dogs don't just gorge on food. They'll go over and they'll eat when they're hungry. My dog, if there's food, he just eats the whole fucking thing. It was to the point when I really started to have to limit it because he would eat so fast and so much, he'd fucking throw up. Like that, immediately. And I'm like, dude, you just wasted that bowl of food, you jerk.
What an idiot.
So Buzz would tell me that he would like go fill, and I mean they're big gigantic bowls that he keeps outside. And he fills up the one bowl and he turns around. My dog's got his face already in the goddamn food and the bowl's half gone. And it's not like my dog's very big. I mean I think he's maybe this tall or so. He's about yay long, not including tail or anything, but about yay long. And Buzz's dogs are like fucking 6 feet tall. Those things are huge. It's gigantic German Shepherds. Where does this $290 a month budget question come from? Daniel, I have no clue what you're talking about.
That was yesterday. The guy's spending more on 20-year-old dudes in Britain.
Oh, were we going to preface that, or are you just going to drop it in there? Did I miss something?
Usually don't drop it in there.
Which is funny because I mentioned it on the air yesterday. That was whatchamacallit, when we were talking about how much a guy spends, and like when my ex and I were splitting up, that was one of the things that she kind of threw in my face of like, you're not good with money. You spent $200 or something on clothes this one time we went shopping, and I'm like, yeah, I do it like once every 2 or 3 years. So if you span that out, it really ain't that bad. Because Buzz is serious. I have at this point, I'm down. Like, I used to be wearing 2 pairs of pants. Now I'm just down to the one. I don't know what it is about me, but I don't like variety when it comes to clothes. I wear my jeans. I wear basically the same pair of shoes. All of my socks are the same. All of my underwear is the same. The only thing that'll occasionally change is my T-shirt.
You'd have really been good in like communist countries and stuff.
Oh, I would have been fucking rolling in it, man. Are you kidding me?
You'd been doing really well.
But no, it's how simplistic I am when it comes to stuff like that. Now, there's other things, obviously, that I enjoy to spend money on or whatever. But when it comes to clothes, it's I don't see any point in going too extravagant. I'm a white, bald dude with a beard and tattoos. Like, what am I going to do?
There you go. There you go.
Which reminds me, like, speaking of like fancy clothes and shit, I watched Deadpool twice on the plane flights. Once going to Portland and once coming back. And there's
nice.
one of the opening scenes when he shows up. The kid delivers the pizza. And he's talking to one guy, and he was like, easy on the bedazzling. They're a pair of jeans, not a goddamn chandelier. What do I splurge on? Technology stuff, video games. I splurge on comics. I got so many comics. I probably have a stack of comics that's like this tall at this point at home that is just waiting to be read. What else do I splurge on? I splurge on food. I enjoy a good meal. Like, that's one of the things
Me too!
that we've talked about in the chat before, especially about like a first date. Like, how much money do you spend on a first date? And I said, up to $100. But it's all dependent on how much money you have, how much you make, and how much you can afford. Don't try to overspend and don't be a cheapskate or underspend. But I enjoy going out to a nice meal. Like, going to Ruth's Chris is a fantastic evening. I love doing shit like that. That's
shit.
I would rather spend money on something like that where I get to go enjoy a good meal than a pair of jeans that's going to sit in my fucking closet. I didn't even buy these jeans, by the way. My ex did. So
Well, all right then.
because, well, here's the thing. So the one pair of jeans that I did buy on that trip, they kept getting a goddamn hole right on the pocket, on the right pocket. She tried to sew them up twice, and for some reason it kept blowing the stitch. And it's not like I have a fat ass, So I wasn't like, oh, I need to drop a few pounds. If anything, I could probably use a little weight in my ass. I'm a white boy. Like,
This is true.
I ain't got no badonkadonk-donk. So...
Good question, Vic. Who's going to be the next person to come on the AfterBuzz?
Yeah, we need somebody to come visit on the AfterBuzz. So if anybody out there would like to come to the AfterBuzz, all you got to do, email me, Brandon@buzzadamshow.com. And I think on that note...
Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to...
you have no idea. When I was a kid, because he just wrote that I have a bony ass. When I was a kid and I would get in trouble, my mom would spank me with a wooden spoon. My ass was so bony as a kid, the spoons would constantly break. I'm like, she went through probably 4 or 5. And so she eventually got a paddle, that had a signature portion on the back. And when I got spanked, I had to sign the back of it. I think there's one signature on there.
Nice.
It's this guy.
Nice.
Covered in tears too, by the way. So as you're signing your name after your mom just spanked your ass. But other than that, I think we're going to call this one a good AfterBuzz. We'll wrap it up, and I didn't get to watch it because I was out in the middle of Bend, Javi. I missed the fight on Saturday, so unfortunately I didn't get to see any of that because of where we were located. Because where we were, there was no cell coverage. And you had to be inside one of the cabins to get Wi-Fi, and we weren't going to spend our time in the cabin. We wanted to be outside. The whole point was to be by the lake and to be out, by the campfire. Oh, another quick story from this weekend. So, have you ever known of a wedding that only served potatoes?
No.
That's all they had was potatoes. We spent Friday night before the wedding scrubbing, and this was on my Snapchat too. We're scrubbing the potatoes, and then we give it to somebody else, and they oil up the potato, stab it with a fork, wrap it in foil. We went through 100 fucking potatoes.
What the fuck?
And I want to say there's maybe like 70 to 80 people at the wedding, and I'm thinking like, okay, this is like a side dish, and then you bring something else in. No, but it was just a full fucking potato bar. Like, it was awesome. So you basically picked up your potato, and then there was just every single kind of fixin' you could think of. And then they had, like, cinnamon rolls for dessert. Like, they didn't even have a wedding cake. This is how low-key and laid-back they were about this. It was fucking awesome.
Here's some taters and some...
Like, I really hate going to weddings. I cannot fucking stand them. Maybe that's why I haven't gotten married and I never will, just to avoid going to another goddamn wedding. And it's a decision that I get to make. But no, I mean, it was totally cool. It was nice and laid back. It was gorgeous outside. All right, I think we're good to go.
Sounds like a good place to wrap it up.
We'll see you guys next week.